Is up, people? Today I am proudly going to review Superman the movie in 4K Ultra HD, and I got that coming up for you next. I have always loved the original Christopher Reeve Superman film. I remember watching this when I was a little kid and have always just loved this and the sequel Superman 2. Those two movies are one movie in my mind. They were filmed at the same time anyway, and yeah. It is just now we're getting into the seminal Kyle's childhood films. And this is definitely one of them. Now, Warner Brothers has been scrambling around trying to find a better Superman than Christopher Reeves, and I'll tell you right now, they haven't found him yet because it doesn't exist. This is a great Superman that can be an excellent Superman and a just phenomenal Clark Kent with the humor here, and Christopher Reeve is excellent in this film. And Margot Kidder, she's not my favorite Lois Lane, but she's a pretty good one. I'll put her at number 2. Amy Adams, I do put her at number 1, even though she's not in the best Superman films. I do like her as Lois Lane. But this movie is just where it's at when you are talking about superhero origin films. This is where it's at, people, because this is how to do it. This is an epic tale here of the birth and the rise of Superman, with just Jor-El at the beginning, Marlon Brando. I love how he calls Krypton Krypton. But, this is just a seminal film for me. I just really dig this origin story, and I do like Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor. He is a badass Lex Luthor, even though it doesn't really tie into who Lex is in the comic books, but hey. And, I got to give this a 10 out of 10. I wish I could talk more about Superman to you guys today, but I can't. I have a lot coming out for you guys, so all I could do is lump it into this review. And getting into the video quality here, this is something that I was looking forward to. I mean, Superman the movie in 4K Ultra HD, this is something that is just really high on my list of things to see. And this was actually given a 4K digital intermediate while originally being filmed on 35mm, and it was given a Dolby Vision support. And everything was on this transfer side to succeed, and yeah, it's very subtle. I'll just call this a subtle uptick. There is more detail here, but it's just very toned down and subtle. This is still a very soft looking grainy movie, and that is a lot. That has a lot to do with the fact that it was shot on 35mm. I know you can't just have a clean scan, and I really wouldn't want it to, just because grain is part of this film and how I saw it as a child, and I have accepted that here, but still, this is very soft, and the grain is pretty intrusive at times, and with some close-ups and with a few of the action scenes, that is it as far as detail upscaling goes, because other than that, it is largely the same. And when you get into the HDR and the Dolby Vision, that is another place where it is just very subtle. I feel like colors should be popping more than they do here. I want the blues in Superman's suit to pop, and the reds and the yellows, and his cape. I just want it to pop a lot more, and it doesn't. This transfer is not what I wanted, and it's not all bad. It's just, it's not worse than the Blu-ray. It's just not that much better, and for that, I am going to give this a 5 out of 10. I have to go hard on this. I'm sorry. And getting into the audio quality here, this was given Dolby Atmos support. This is another thing that I was excited about. And unlike the video quality, just right from the beginning, I knew that I was in good hands. The awesome opening scroll that this movie has always had is so well represented here, and it is just expertly recreated. You get the titles flashing past your height speakers to the screen. Oh man, and it just continues from there. You know, this is a very talky movie, but action scenes are really heavy and they hit hard. Surrounds are a little bit subtle, but when in action scenes, they do really kick. Bass response is expertly done here. Speaker separation has always been good for this movie, and it continues to be good, and I'll give this a 9 out of 10. This is something that is just really awesome. And getting into the digital copy here, this is a Movies Anywhere digital copy, so that means that the standard high-definition version of this film, not the 4K version, there isn't that much of a difference, can be downloaded on pretty much any of these streaming services on like iTunes, Vudu, and all of those. And getting into the special features here, there were a whole lot of special features on that Superman box set that came out on Blu-ray, and you get all of the special features that were on that first disc. So you don't get the extended version of this movie. I think there was like an extra 20 minutes. But I didn't really feel like you needed this movie to be any longer, to be quite honest with you. This version is the version of this particular film that I have always really liked. So what you do have here is the audio commentary that was on that original Blu-ray. It is ported over to the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray, and that is a commentary with the producers of the film as they talk about the making of this movie. And the making of this movie is pretty interesting. They gloss over their disagreement with Richard Donner. It was a lot of payment issues that they had with him, and that is interesting on its own right. I wish that they would have been a little bit more honest and really delved into that, but they don't here. They just kind of gloss over it. And other things that are not on the 4K disc, they are on the Blu-ray, are a 50-minute standard definition. All of the featurettes here are in standard definition, not in HD. But they have a making of documentary, and they also have a TV movie that I believe it was a TV movie back in the day where it was Superman and the Mole Men. That is actually a little funny and hokey, but it is good. That was with George Reeves, who was Superman on TV back in the 50s. And there is a decent amount of special features here, and I'll give them a 7 out of 10. This is decent. And getting into my last looks at Superman, I can't say enough about the movie itself. This is a seminal movie from my childhood, like I've told you guys, and man, I could go on talking about this movie for days. Just the story that is told here, and how epic it feels. And even though you don't get the strongest push for a villain in this film, you don't need it, because the story here is so compelling, and I just love it to death. And as far as my final scores for Superman the movie on 4K Ultra HD, you come out to a 31 out of 40. Look, as long as you come into this not expecting a whole lot as far as a video transfer is concerned, you will get a lot from the audio transfer just because of the upgrade to Dolby Atmos, and you get a decent amount of special features here. And yeah, that's just how this one was. I was a little disappointed with the video transfer. Not gonna lie. And I will be getting into The Incredibles. And it will be a good review because I will be talking about Disney and its audio. And that is always something to listen to. So you're awesome. And I will see all of you next time.